they are directly coming to Web3 because it's very easy to actually set up in Web3 at a pre-revenue stage. Getting funds from investors is very difficult. We have already taken 8 startups with us. We've been putting our own NFTs minted so that they can build digital assets.
Hi everyone, we are today at Uniform Web3 meetup, and right now with Mr. Pravash Dey of Brand Global. So sir, what does Brand Global do, and what do you help there?
So we are a content distribution platform powered by blockchain. So what we do is Brand Global as a one-stop platform for policymakers, entrepreneurs, investors, as well as developers to share what the best practices they do. Even say for example, you're building a company, right? There is some ethos, some vision, there should be a vision when you start, and there is an investment thesis or building a company thesis. So all these best practices we bring to Brand Global, and the whole idea is when you look at investment, each and every investor has a very different portfolio. How they manage portfolio, how they start investing in companies, the startups they talk to. So most of the time when actually a startup talks to that investor, after going through all the the process, they find out that okay, that particular angel investment company or funding company, VC fund, is not right for them. So we actually take care of all those things right from the day one. So when you are starting a company, if you are falling into like health tech or fintech, so we actually match you those kind of right investors with a proper check size, with proper investment ethos, as well as creating online reputation management of ORM portfolio for you, so that initially both the investor side as well as from the startup side we both connected.
So if I'm not wrong, so you basically connect startups with investors, right?
Yeah,
so
that's the first connection, and then we also connect with the policymakers.
So in your experience, what have you seen? A lot of experienced Web2 folks moving to Web3 to launch the startups, or the startups launched in Web3 are now students in their initial days after college, they are launching Web3 startups. What have you seen?
So the trend is now changing. If we talk about, I have seen almost very much started earlier with websites and stuff. Pretty much from Web 1 transition to Web 2. Now, the startups or the early stage startups, I would say they're moving directly to Web 3. So the trend is very much changing based on the age, you can say. Most of the millennials who are from the age group of 18 to 25, 30, they prefer more on Web 3 because they are already doing the trading in crypto. They are investing right now in different trading the US companies sitting in India. So that is why they prefer more on Web 3. Whereas if you look at the traditional businesses, or particularly the large businesses, they have already built a framework or the tech architecture on Web 2. Most of the time, it's moving from Web 2 to Web 3 is not that easy, and it's also some of the times it's the nature of the company, the size of the company that matters, because Web3, when we talk about the decision, right from the decision making to execution, is very much decentralized. So it has to be there in the constitution of when you're actually creating an organization. But when you look at large companies that have already a fixed group of people who actually take the decisions, then you have managers in the middle, then you have bottom level staff who actually basically does the work. So it's very difficult to move from the top. Then your budgeting has to change, your process has to change. So that is what actually stopped me. But now if you see the companies that started probably after COVID or during the COVID, they are directly coming to Web3 because it's very easy to actually set up in Web3. You have a lot of resources available, tools available.
Right. So what would be the 3 key points that you will give any new startup Web3 founder, that who is just launching his or her startup?
Okay, so the 3 major things is the first, I would say, community. If you're starting a Web3 platform, build your community or build your tribe first. So even if you spend that 3 months or 6 months time to build a product, and if you don't have a community, it's of no use. So build the community. The second thing is the credit. So most of the time what we see right now, if you are at a startup ideation stage or building a prototype or taking it to the market, still you are in the market at a pre-revenue stage, getting funds from investors is very difficult, right? So either you bootstrap yourself or else you approach friends and family who can invest. So that is where you need to get some credit. If you actually get those credit lines from large organizations like Google giving the cloud credits or AWS giving the cloud credits, and then there are a lot of large companies actually providing the support, like having their own accelerator program, having their own labs. So the startups can collaborate initially and start there. That's a very hybrid model, and that's a very good model for Web3 startups, because A is you get a large company for your reference. So getting that first company, getting that next 10 companies or 100 companies will be easy because you are already swimming with a large shark. So that's one thing. Second thing is, if you can create some credit lines with banks, like say for example overdraft. So if you can create like next 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs overdraft with them, so at least you are not worried about your cash burn. So you have a runway of 2 months or 3 months, you can survive without taking money or without more focusing the customer acquisition rather than you can focus on your product. The next is your, I would say, cash flow or capital. See it from the day one itself. And most of the time what I see is young engineers coming out of the college, they because they are engineers, they focus more on the product side, and they focus more on the technology side, building the product rather than looking at the revenue, or the money coming into the organization. So I should say, hire somebody, a salesperson or marketing person right from the day one, who can look at the revenue model. Because most of the time you can actually provide the service without the technology. So first you need to get that the revenue as well as the product validation. So these are the three things you should actually look at. One is capital, one is credit, third is the community.
Right. So like you talked about accelerator programs. So like, are there any accelerator programs for Web3 startups also?
Well, we just actually started our accelerator program, but our accelerator program is more focusing towards the VC side or the venture capital side, because we find the capital is one of the biggest challenge for Web3 startups, and you need larger amount than the Web2 startups or a SaaS-based startup. So we want to make sure that the fund is available for the Web3 startup before they even thinking about getting to the dev side, DevOps. Right. So we started the VC accelerator. That really worked for us the last 2 cohorts. So this is the 3rd cohort we are thinking from the startup side, and we have started that right now. So we have already taken 8 startups with us. We've been putting our own NFTs minted so that they can build digital assets and build their DevOps on top of that, so that it's blockchain framework is there. They can build their own protocols. They can also go out and explore that in the market.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So like, if you are thinking of launching a startup and you are looking for investors, so make sure to check out Brand Global, and I will paste the link in the description. And thank you, Mr. Pravash Dey.
Thank you. It was thebrandglobal.com. So
yeah, right. I will paste it in the description. Make sure to check it out.